Good morning, fellow Nigerians. I'm prompted to speak to you all because of the dangerous, insensitive, and callous campaign of some of our Yoruba siblings on social media, and in fact, a few other misguided and greedy fringe elements like Reno Omokri. Reno opened this devilish act deliberately, trying to create an ugly atmosphere of sheer resentment and hate against Igbos, and trying to tie Peter Obi's name with Biafra and IPOD. Now, this unholy and pathetic appeal to the dark spirit of the past has been picked up and been harvested by some Yoruba elite who equally share the same belief that purposely inciting others against Igbos by revisiting the specter of our past would pave the way for their failing candidates to somehow magically emerge from the rejected archives Nigerian youths have rightfully consigned them to. My fellow Nigerians, we ought to love history. It's an eternal storage of our past actions, inactions, statements that humanity cannot easily erase nor hide. Those who are attempting to blackmail Peter Obi and Igbos with the past, who are contentiously invoking and questioning Igbo patriotism for the sake of cheap electoral dividend, are bound to fail because Igbos have demonstrated their commitment to one Nigeria with their business investments and choices of permanent homes all across the nation. And if opposition to the federal government is a sin, we have all by ethnicity fallen short of true patriotism, true altruism, and lost our moral high ground to point any fingers to others concerning our past. It is sadly an absolute tribalism to stick with your tribe when the person or persons of your choice are grossly of questionable character with an endless avalanche of fraud and criminality before the public. Tribalism is a product of the devilish Satan and blinds its victims to the qualities worthy of acknowledging and appreciating in others. When Buhari was running the first time, I was rooting for Buhari because I felt the nation needed change. To those who traffic in hate, let me say this to you. First, remove the speck or beam in your eyes so you can see clearly what is in the eyes of others. You are being hypocritical and dishonest, and you know better. Some of you are even creating fake newspaper online, opening new social media accounts, falsely taking up other ethnicities' names just to campaign. Even the so-called Comrade Deji, who, after threatening to squeeze Peter Obi's neck, is fabricating lies that demean himself, that I had to point this out to Twitter as a serious violent threat. We are not going to blame Tinubu Atiku over what Reno, Dej, and other fanatics are saying. And this constant call on Obi to rein in on the actions of his supporters, even if they are true, even if as evidence, is indicative of their political naivete. If Obi is responsible for what his supporters are saying or doing, so we must presume that Tinubu himself is also responsible for the violence his supporters are unleashing, their clash with Osibajo supporters not excluded. Big campaigns do in fact take a mind of their own, with careless oblivious of the antics deployed by their supporters. As too with Buhari, risked my life among my people until the bloodshed by Fulani extremists became a daily fixture, and the president seemed to echo the same sentiments these murderers put out before us. I'm a PDP member, but support Peter Obi because, like millions of Nigerians, I am desperately seeking change. And Obi with Ahmed, in my long and reflective journey, in my opinion, are the change agents that Nigeria needs, and not just because Peter Obi is an evil man. When Buhari made the move to appoint Aradume as an NPC chairman, Nigerians saw how many Igbos kicked against it. They placed Nigeria above their tribe, against one of their very own, because they know Aradume's record and character. That is true patriotism. There are ethnic groups today who will ignore the obvious flaws of their brothers and sisters and fight to get Buhari to confirm people with outrageous, fraudulent characters while hypocritically claiming they love Nigeria more. The clamor and euphoria we witness about Obi is beyond politics, beyond tribe. Nigeria's youths undeniably are seeking real lasting change. When millions cannot afford even a decent meal a day, market women cannot even find buyers for their commodities, we are lucky that our youths are simply and feverishly supporting the candidate. I invite you to take a look at Sierra Leone and how their youths have taken to the streets to protest rising cost of living. Rising cost of living. Go and read your global history and trends. If what is happening in Nigeria today is happening in many other countries, I'll tell you that citizens are bound to take extreme measures for change. We just saw in Sri Lanka citizens go as far as storming their presidential palace and forcing their president to run for his dear life, while a protest in Lekki will cause our government to kill and hideously bury youths in shallow graves. So whether Peter Obi's supporters or anyone, I and many Nigerians clearly understand the call of this new wave. Those trying to incite hatred and violence against Igbos should desist from it and generally leave all these youths alone. Let them emote, let them vent their anger, so long as they are not resorting to property destruction or harming innocent citizens. Tinubu's claims proudly of single-handedly hosting Buhari to the highest office, but he is not willing to take responsibility for Buhari's failure and wants a second chance to replicate or further Buhari's dark legacy of ignominy and inability to do the most basic for Nigeria. If we did not commence to point out his constant foreign trip this year, he will be leaving Nigeria every week. You cannot run a big nation as Nigeria in the air with its multi-complexities from a London hospital. And you cannot run it daily, physically propped up by your bodyguards like a string on a puppet. Deji, Brina Mokri, and other tribalists and Igbo haters, let me walk you on this path to the whole truth. In the 1940s and 50s, while Azikiwe and others were fighting for Nigeria's independence, many Igbos were killed in the north simply because they were Igbos and some section of Nigeria refused to be liberated and did not want the independence. The first Nigerian coup was carried out with the purpose of installing Obafemi Awolowo as the prime minister. Go ask. Remember, he was already in jail for trying to overthrow the government of Tafawa Balewa. We also know who made the famous expression that Nigeria was a mere geographical expression. We also know who attempted to overthrow Babangida's government. We know that while Igbos were running for their lives by returning southward, some people saw it as an opportunity to see as Oduduwa nation. We also know that Tinubu, as late as the 90s, publicly insisted that he did not believe in one Nigeria. Go and check. Biafra was forced on Igbos. APOB is a loose organization by one man, just as Sonny Iboho is holding a 1 million man rally against government, due in part to the inequities of this government and lack of Buhari's decisive plan to stop the killings in the south by herders and other Islamic fundamentalists. Obasanjo was elected as president in the midst of Yoruba outcry for Oduduwa nation, and Igbo supported him, and then Yar'Adua. While men was attacking our national economic machines, Jonathan emerged and Igbos rallied around him. In the raging war with terrorists, much trillions wasted, millions displaced, we elected Buhari. Nigerians did not reject him in spite of all the mayhem from his clansmen. Why point out APOB and trying to politicize it now? APOB was a protest group for many years who were being arrested, killed by this APC government. Even a young girl of 14 years old died in the hands of soldiers in Onitsha. Some APOB members picked up arms only after it was obvious that the Fulani extremists were moving freely in the southeast forest and herders raping our women and killing our farmers. Today, many of the young men being arrested are admitting they are not APOB members, but are into kidnapping to earn a living. Many Igbo youths realize the kind of hatred Mr. Buhari has for Igbos. They see how the man finds his voice when something happens in the South, but remains muted when same incidents occur in other regions. Even with all this, IPOD does not have the mature support of Igbo adults, the elite and the rich, unlike the bandits and terrorists who are being supplied with surface air missiles, motorcycles, trucks, and literally equipped like any nation's army. The fact is that Igbos just want to keep on their trade and commerce. Brothers and sisters sat down together and drew a set of political arrangements, agreed on it both in principle and in practice for decades that Nigeria will have a rotational presidency. By now, it's become a tradition and honor for peace and unity. And I hear some Yoruba voices clamoring for that power must return to the South. And they are right, because equity calls for it. It is a sacrifice we ought to make for peaceful coexistence. But the sad and ironical aspect of it is that while these voices call for equity for themselves, they are willing and determined to circumvent Igbos, offer them as sacrificial lambs in their twisted and perverted idea of equity, because if it's true equity they believe in, they will be paving and supporting an Igbo man for president. The idea of changing the rule in the middle of a game, moving the goalpost, is an outrageous, callous, undisguised, reckless hypocrisy and a threat to peace and unity. Tinubu is power-grabbing, and he knows it. He's usurping the right of Igbos as full citizens of this nation. He and those who are supporting him are very unpatriotic, arrogant for power, at the dire expense of Nigeria's peace. This is an act only those who have no regard for rules, who are selfish and greedy partake in. Tinubu could not do this to any region of the North without risking a civil war. And he knows it, and we all know it. He refuses to come to his senses, but continues to pile up hoodlums ready to unleash to win an election. Igbos and Yorubas have come a long way, share so much in common, but unfortunately, prejudice, dishonesty, deception, resentment, mockery continue to fester among us. It's incumbent upon our generation to slowly erase these stumbling emotional blocks, most times born out of ignorance, and seek a common ground and general love for one another. We cannot pass this invisible hostility and intolerance to new generations. I invite my Yoruba siblings to rise above tribalism and support Peter Obi now. When it's your turn, or the turn of any other ethnic group, we will respect your turn and we will articulate for it. Let equity be our guiding light, our inspiration, our pivotal bedrock, a strong, united, peaceful Nigeria. Thank you, and may God bless you.